based on Crackles with Rob's website. Now, you can do IELTS online tests easier, especially reading and writing. With Reading Test, you can use Highlight tool to highlight important words, phrases, sentences, or unhighlight text by selecting such words, then right-clicking. For the Writing Test, you can use the tool Word Count when writing. With our sample answer, many idioms and collocations for each topic are provided.
Let's take a very close look at how to structure your responses for Part 3 questions. So, as a reminder from the introductory lesson for Part 3, your responses are going to have basically two parts. You are going to express your perspective in direct response to the question. So, Part 3 questions are opinion questions or perspective questions, and this first sentence or two is where you need to provide yours. Then you take your perspective, whatever it is, and you support it. You think of reasons, details, examples that can support your viewpoint. Those are the two basic parts of a Part 3 response. Let's look at each one in detail. So the first thing is to express your opinion or perspective in direct response to the question. The challenge here is really that you don't have time to think, because most students will be tempted to take the question, the language from the question, and provide their answer without changing that language very much. You can do that, but it will lower your score a little bit because they're looking for whether or not you can paraphrase language from the question as you give your response and your perspective. That does not mean you can't borrow a few words from the question as you give your answer. You can. Sometimes it's too difficult to think of synonyms for every single word. The challenge is to do your best to take that question and put it in your own words as you provide your response. We will look at an example of that in this lesson. Okay, this perspective, these first two sentences of your response, these are really the thesis of what you're planning to say. This presents your argument, and you're going to use phrases like I believe, or I agree, or mostly agree, I disagree, or somewhat disagree, right? Remember, you don't have to take a really strong yes, no opinion on a topic. You can kind of agree or kind of disagree, and that's perfectly fine as long as you provide support for that opinion in what you say for the part 2, for the details and examples and reasons, okay? We'll look at that in just a minute. So let's look at an example question and think about how to respond. So if we have this question here, should online education replace traditional classroom education in the future? Why or why not? Here's a good sample response. Okay, this person is going to say that in general, no, okay, I don't think that online education should replace traditional classroom education, but this person also provides a kind of mixed view. So let's take a look at what this response is, and we'll analyze it just a little bit. Okay, so the response is this. No, I don't think so. Although web-based education has some great applications, I believe there are several valuable aspects of the standard classroom experience that cannot be replaced by online learning. Okay, first of all, notice some of the paraphrasing. The main phrases here are online education and traditional classroom education. Here down below, we have a good paraphrase, web-based education. And of this one, of traditional classroom, we have standard classroom experience instead of traditional classroom education. These are good paraphrases. Now, I did not replace every word. Here up on top, they have online, and down below we have online, okay? This response does not paraphrase every single word, but I think if you look at some of the main phrases, like we pointed out here, and also just in general the structure of the sentences, this is clearly my own language, and I'm not borrowing a lot of the language from the question. That's what you should try to do for a good paraphrased response. It's not easy. It's not easy to do it in the moment, but it's your goal. Okay, so if we've checked this one off, we've given our response. Now what do you do to support it? Okay, this is where you have to think quickly. You have to think on your feet, as we say. The details need to support what you just said. They need to support your main argument. Okay, you think quickly and use examples from your life. Examples involving people you know, that's fine to use also. You can even make up examples as long as they don't sound unusual or strange, and as long as they fit the perspective you take. Go ahead and use examples that you have imagined or made up. Reasons, facts, okay, any detail you can think of to support your perspective is just fine. Okay, so let's look at how this works. At the top, this person does acknowledge, okay, in my response here, we do acknowledge that online education has some great applications. So it would be perfectly fine to mention a few of those applications below, okay? If that's what you can think of for your response and give kind of a mixed response, go ahead and do that. Here's an example. Online education is best for self-study. So this could be a first example, right? You know this because you're using self-study to study for the IELTS. Maybe in my experience, I've used self-study to study for the driver's license exam. These are places where learning online could be a really good thing. And if I'm giving a mixed opinion, okay, even though I said no, I did acknowledge here that there are some good applications for online education. You could use it. You could put that here. But the majority of my perspective should be on this no. And here I say there are several valuable aspects of standard classroom experience that cannot be replaced. Okay, so I definitely need some details to support that side. First one, the social dynamics of a classroom are very beneficial. In my high school, I could think of an English project that we had that was very meaningful to me, and we did really good work because we worked as a team. Okay, I could use that example to support my perspective here. Okay, classroom learning provides greater motivation. That's a second reason to support my view. And I could say something like, all right, if you are learning at home, online learning does offer flexibility, but many people might struggle to stay motivated, right? I could give an example of my friend who is really a very good student, but he's failed some online math classes because he really just has trouble doing all that work on his own without the motivation of classmates and a teacher. Okay, this is a lot of information. If you could think of all of this information, and if you could think of a mixed answer to support two parts of your response here, right? That would be wonderful. That would be perfect. Of course, you might not be able to think of all of this on test day, but if you can, this is your goal. This is your ideal, to think of all these wonderful details and examples to support your opinion. In general, you definitely need a direct response and at least some of this stuff below to support your answer. Okay, so let's take just a quick listen to how this would all sound together. I'm going to start by reading up here, and then I'll give you my detailed examples as I would say them on the test below. Okay, so at the top, no, I don't think so. Although online education has some great applications, I believe there are several valuable aspects of standard classroom experience that cannot be replaced by online learning. Online education does have some value because it's good for some self-study situations. For example, I got my driver's license in a very short amount of time because I was able to study by myself at home on a computer and really learn those facts about driving very quickly. But I do think that online education is not quite as good at some things that a traditional classroom can offer. For example, I really think the social dynamics of a classroom are so beneficial for students. I had a group project in my high school class, I remember, where I